On this episode of AMA Air, find out where the last FAI World Championship of the year took place.
Also, hear one control line pilot share his memories of flying.
And find out the latest news about the National Model Aviation Museum. All that and more on this episode.
And welcome to the season finale of AMA Air. My name is Matt Ruddick.
And I'm Claire Aldenheisen. Well, I'm super excited because AMA Expo is happening right now at the Fairplex Exposition Complex in Pomona, California.
That's right. And actually, I'm there right now. I'm also here, so it's kind of weird. But I'm out there hanging out with everybody, especially with the presenting sponsor, eHobby House. It's going to be a great time. If you have not gotten your tickets for Expo, go get them right now. Head out to Pomona, California. Get on a plane. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be out there podcasting from the show floor. There's going to be an RC car parade. There's going to be outdoor flying. It's going to be a great time.
Unfortunately, I am not at AMA Expo, and I am experiencing serious FOMO right now. So if you guys are also feeling the same way, tune in to Ask Claire November edition at the National Model Aviation Museum on Facebook.
FOMO?
FOMO is fear of missing out.
Right. Gotcha. Well, if you haven't yet filled out and returned your ballot for the upcoming AMA election, there's no time like the present. The ballots were mailed in September and included a renewal notice for those whose AMA memberships are set to expire before January 31st, 2020. The ballots must be postmarked by November the 12th.
This year's Free Flight World Championships was hosted in Lost Hills, California from October 17th through the 22nd. Congratulations to Taryn Malkason from the U.S. for taking the top spot in F1C and the U.S. team for taking third overall in F1C.
Well, we want to thank you for another wonderful season at the National Model Aviation Museum in Muncie, Indiana. We've had another great year of new exhibits that we've been able to share with visitors once again. But we're now closed for the winter, and we look forward to seeing everyone when we reopen on Memorial Day weekend in 2020.
Drone pilots from 16 countries competed in the International Drone Sports Championship last month in South Korea, which took place October 11th to the 13th. In the speed racing contest, Team USA Multi-GP, managed by Tim Barnhart, finished third, with Team Russia in second and Korea finishing first. In the Extreme Mobius race, U.S. pilots Alex Vanover, also known as Captain Vanover, and Soren Monroe Anderson, aka Fat Kid FPV, took second and third places respectively. Evan Turner, pilot name Heads Up FPV, rounded out the U.S. team.
It's so cool seeing Multi-GP get this international attention and giving all of these really young pilots, because these guys are still teenagers, giving them the opportunity to go all over the world to fly against the top pilots around the world. It's just so cool to see.
I love it because it's really making aeromodeling more visible to the general public through something that is super exciting and cool, and the fact that they're showing the world that aeromodeling is a legit sporting event, and I just love that. I think that's amazing.
And seeing the guys right here from the United States that are AMA members are top of the line competitors with anybody from around the world.
Makes me feel good.
Absolutely. Well, after the break, we're going to take a look at some upcoming events and learn how you can find one near you.
And still ahead, find out what's in store for the future of AMA Air.
The 2019 AMA Expo will take place at the Fairplex Exposition Complex in Pomona, California on November 1st through the 3rd. AMA Expo will feature family-friendly activities including indoor and outdoor model aircraft flying, a night air show, rocket launches, drone racing, radio-controlled cars and trucks, a model boat pond, and so much more. Cars, trains, and boats galore. Visitors will have access to a 4,500 square foot boat pond and a track set aside for drag racing and street racing RC cars and trucks. This year's Expo Speaker Series guests will include the hosts of the RC Roundtable, Rob Romash, inventor, competitor, and president of Eclipse Toys, and John M. Collins, also known as the Paper Airplane Guy. In addition, more than 80 exhibitors will be featured at AMA Expo, highlighting new products and offering demonstrations. Get your tickets now at amaexpo.com.
The first X-Class World Invitational Nationals drone race will take place November 14th to 17th in Texas. This unique event will feature building, tuning, and racing 800mm to 1200mm drones. The event is hosted by Drone World RTF.
Delaware RC Club will hold its flea market and swap meet November the 16th at the Newark Senior Center in Newark, Delaware. The event opens to the public at 8:30 a.m.
An FAI F3K Soaring contest for discus launch and hand launch gliders will take place November 16th and 17th in Arizona. Blue Skies over Arizona, hosted by the East Valley Electric Flyers, will have special contests such as a 1-meter intergalactic championship and new tasks for 2020.
The Springfield Model Airplane Club will hold its swap meet and auction November the 29th in Springfield, Ohio. The event will open to the public from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Enjoy 3 days of soaring at beautiful Kenny World over Ocala, Florida, November 22nd to the 24th. The Tangerines Soaring Championships will include AILS and RES categories and a mixed launch.
The Decatur Aero Commanders RC Club will host its 16th annual swap meet on November the 23rd. The event will be held at Richland College in Decatur, Illinois.
For more information on these events or to find one in your area, you can check out the sanctioned event calendar in Model Aviation or at modelaircraft.org.
And after the break, a control line pilot gives tech tips for fast pitting, tells an endearing father and son story, and some other fascinating history, all when we return.
Every journey starts somewhere. Our journey begins with imagination. And imagination can take us anywhere. Because the best journeys end with new beginnings.
In the October episode of Flyby, pilot Frank Scott discusses the history of his Sky Baby control line airplane. Let's take a look.
My name is Frank Scott. I was born in 1939, which is very convenient for getting started in model aviation because I grew up in the 1950s particularly. It was a fantastic time for aviation. The news was full of it, the magazines, lots of airplanes flying over. We had a big war going on which kept interest at a very high pitch. But anyway, I grew up at a time when there were neighborhood hobby shops everywhere. I think that I could probably think of about 5 hobby shops that I consider to be in bicycle distance. This was very convenient. If you couldn't find what you wanted at one, you pedaled to the next and you could find everything you needed. So, lots of airplanes. My first kits came from a dry goods store just down the street. It was a little shop where a lady sold fabric and notion, and I think she lived in the back of the shop. But by her cash register, she had a few Gillows kits. So anyway, I would go to her dry goods shop and give her a dime or a quarter, whatever was available. And I'd buy these Gillows kits. I used them as a source for parts, materials, tissue, sticks, balsa. At that time, I didn't know there were hobby shops. So I was making my own gliders and things from her products. Then I found the hobby shops, started building. About, I don't remember, it had been 52 or 54 about that, I joined the EMA. My first Nats was at Glenview. I started off free flight, and my parents would go to Florida in the winters, and there was a man who lived just down the street named George Glass, and he flew control line. So he pretty much introduced me to control line. And there we flew a ball diamond at a city park in West Palm Beach. So my first control line model would have been a Tester's sophomore 19 with a Cameron 19 engine. So flew that one and then just kept flying and flying. Of course, got into the half A's. When the Cox engines came along, then things really took off. The people at the Herkimer Engine Works wouldn't like this, but the Cox engine was so much more powerful, so much easier to get started. Yeah, they were a game changer. Mostly I just flew for fun. Then I got into, sometimes there would be a contest where they would have an event for unorthodox models, which had a certain appeal to me. And then I got into control line scale. And probably my first really good control line scale model was a Fox 35 powered Blumenvoss BV-141B, which looks like half of a P-38. My children and I, we have a boy and a girl, Jeanette and Chris. They were pretty young, but we would go to Toledo show. And at Toledo one year, the man named Bob Sargent had a little cottage company called Aeronautics. And he was selling plans for half-A racers. Well, I already established that I liked half-A's, and so we bought some of his plans, such as these. And the result of that was building this very airplane. I pretty much copied his plans, except that I cocked the engine on the side because I had this notion about speeding up pit stops, and it works. On my models to this day, generally the engine will be built offset at an angle because I would have electrical contacts on my index finger, my thumb, a battery strapped to my hand, and just by grabbing like this, the glow plug is lit. The crankcase is anodized. Electrically, that's not a good thing. You just scrape that off, so then you have a good ground. You've got the top of the plug. Everything is good. So pit stops were fast. So it's a matter of grab the airplane, squirt the fuel in with a syringe, grab it, flip it, it's gone. Since then, all my half-A airplanes have the offset engine. With the passage of time, my son started flying control line models. He started with the Cox PT-19. And when we would go to a contest, I would just find somebody to pit for me. Just pick up who's. So we were at a contest one time, probably up in Cleveland, because we traveled everywhere to contest. I looked, I couldn't find anybody that was available. They were all busy. And Chris said, and Chris, he's 7 maybe, he said, "Chris, let me fly for you." And I thought, well, this isn't going to work. And I can't say no because it will break his heart. So we went and we talked to the contest director. And the CD said, okay, he's pretty small. He's not going to be able to reach if he's passing. So they gave Chris dispensation to pass underneath. And to do that, he would have to duck down and run around the circle in front of the guys. And to everyone's surprise, especially mine, he won. In point of fact, I have never flown a half-A race since then. We would go to contests, like he would fly his event and I would pit, and then he would fly my event and I'd pit. This was a creation of the Cleveland Model Club, and they called them Formula V. And they're to 1/16th scale. And the AMA came along later with the 1/12th scale. When the AMA came along with the 1/12th scale, the people that were flying these were pretty annoyed because A, they already had the airplanes, and B, well, gee, a big airplane, that's just going to be the slowest down. But it turned out we were wrong. When we went to building to the AMA specs, the larger airplane, same engine, larger airplane, was a lot easier to fly, and it was faster too. This airplane was designed and built from scratch. It's inspired by the Sky Baby, which was the first Sweeby airplane that Orchestra built. The first Sweepy had, I believe, some stability issues. This being the Sweeby, he deepened the aft fuselage, and so for the real airplane. Anyway, I liked the way this Sky Baby looked, and so that's what inspired this airplane. The wheels are not like anything you'd find in a store. There was a fellow in our model club, this is now in Dayton, the Dayton Buzz and Buzzards, which still exist. There's a man named Jim Andrus, worked in a factory, and he made a mold for these wheels. So they're very, very nice wheels, and any kids that he gave the wheels for tended to be thrilled. So we live just north of Dayton, near the Salem Mall, and there were about half a dozen kids or so. I called them the Honeybrook Gang because we lived on Honeybrook Avenue. I seemed to have the only jigsaw in the neighborhood, and I had a soldering iron, and so if the kids were working on their own design or from plans, they'd come to me to cut out their parts, and any soldering they needed to do, wheels, control lines, whatever, they came to me. And the back fence behind our house, chain link, big pipe, I had measured off the back rail in standard line lengths. So when kids were making up control lines for racing, they'd come to my place, make up their lines, and good to go. Then when the contest came along, I'd load up as many kids as would fit in our car, and we'd all go together.
You can check out more episodes of Flyby at youtube.com/modelaircraft.
In our previous episode, we asked you to share your thoughts about this show in a survey. We've gotten so many great responses, including some helpful feedback and ideas for the show. Matt mentioned at the beginning of the show that this is our season finale.
That's right, and we're going to be taking a couple of months off to review the surveys and create a new and improved version of AMA Air. In the meantime, if you've not yet taken the survey, we will keep it online for you at air.modelaircraft.org, and AMA Air will return January the 1st.
So not a lot of people know this, but one of the reasons that we are taking a little hiatus is because our producer is about to have a baby.
That's right. Mr. Dylan Carpenter is about to become a father here in just within the next few weeks, we believe. We hope.
I'm excited because it's going to be the world's youngest AMA member.
Absolutely.
I hope, it's going to be... They're going to be the cutest co-hosts. I don't want to reveal anything.
Well, in the meantime, while AMA is off the air, you guys are going to have all sorts of opportunities to stay informed with everything going on here at the AMA. We've just launched a brand new podcast. We've talked about it before.
I love the podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's the AMA podcast. You can find it on any podcast service out there. Mm-hmm. We drop episodes every Monday, so be sure to check that out. We've also got the magazine, Model Aviation, and Park Pilot. Both are still in print, still going to be mailed to your house, and you can stay up to date with stuff there as well.
And of course, you can keep up to date with the history at the National Model Aviation Museum with Flyby and Ask Claire.
That's right.
That's all available on our social media.
Absolutely. Well, listen, that's all for this episode of AMA Air. You can stay connected with us by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For even more videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And from all of us here at AMA, thanks for watching.
We hope you all have a great holiday season, and we'll see you again in 2020.